At one point in my life, I had enough money left for one more night at a motel. That was it. After that, I was sleeping in my car. I was around 27 or 28, and I never thought my life would get that bad, but it did. I remember sitting in that hotel room, staring at the wall, thinking, what am I supposed to do tomorrow? And that feeling is hard to explain because when your life starts going downhill financially, it usually doesn't happen all at once. One thing goes wrong, then another, then another. And before you realize it, you're sitting in a motel room trying to figure out where you're going to sleep next. And the crazy part is, I was hiding it. I was hiding it all of it. My family didn't know how bad things had gotten. Most people didn't. I was embarrassed. I didn't want anybody looking at me differently. I didn't want anybody feeling sorry for me. So I kept everything to myself. And that night, I finally called one of my only friends. He was living in New York and I was in North Carolina at that time. And making that call was difficult, to say the least. I remember staring at the phone for a long time before I called, because asking for help didn't come naturally to me. And even now, I still barely remember the conversation. That whole experience hit me so hard emotionally. It was so traumatic to me. My brain seemed to have blocked out most of it. The only thing that I clearly remember was him saying, I think I may know somebody that you could stay with. So the next morning, I drove about 2 hours to another city to stay with somebody I had never met before. And if you know me, you know that I'm naturally antisocial. I'm quiet, I keep to myself. So normally, something like that would have stressed me out so bad. But at that point, I was in survival mode. My fear of sleeping in my car in a Walmart parking lot was bigger than my fear of meeting new people. So I showed up, met this complete stranger, and thankfully, he let me stay there. But even though he was kind, I still felt uncomfortable being there. I felt like I was a burden. And that feeling stayed in the back of my mind the entire time. So I tried to help out however I could. I cleaned, I helped around the house. I tried not to sit there and feel sorry for myself, because deep down I knew I had been given somewhat of a second chance. So once things in my life started getting better, I started contributing towards the bills, and because we were splitting expenses, I noticed something I had never really experienced before. I was finally able to save money consistently. And I remember thinking one day, wait a minute, what if I keep living this or keep living like this? What if instead of rushing to get my own place, I stay focused on saving and investing? And that thought changed my whole life. From that moment on, I became obsessed with planning. I'm serious. I started planning everything. At that point, my credit score was around 420. So I made a plan to fix it. Then I made a plan to save my first $10,000, then my first 100,000, then eventually building my net worth to $1 million. I made a plan to buy my first house. I made a plan to retire early. And when I look back now, I realized that fear was driving a lot of what I was doing. I was so scared of ever ending up in that situation again. Because once life humbles you like that, when you experience serious trauma, it changes you. It changes how you think. Life experiences play a role in shaping the person that you are. You know what I mean? I still remember my first $10,000. That money meant everything to me emotionally. Not because I thought I was rich, I didn't. I was not rich at all. But for the first time, I felt safe. If my car broke down, I could deal with it. If something unexpected happened, I wouldn't panic immediately. If I lost my job, I had time. And I remember feeling proud too, because my plan worked. And once I saw that, something clicked in my brain. I started thinking, okay, if this worked, maybe I can do more. And little by little, my life started to change. The roommate situation eventually turned into me buying my first house, and then my old roommate became my tenant. And from there, the money and the investments started growing much faster. I also had some side hustles over the years that did really well. But the biggest change wasn't just the money, it was also my mindset. Once you've been that close to losing everything, you start thinking ahead all the time. You start preparing for problems before they happen. You start taking stability, you stop taking stability for granted. And even now, after retiring at 51, I still struggle with spending money sometimes. I really do. Even when I can comfortably afford something, part of my brain still thinks like that scared guy sitting in that motel room. The trauma of that experience is still with me. And I don't know if that feeling will ever completely go away. But listen, sometimes people think more money removes financial stress, but not necessarily, because sometimes the fear just changes, it switches. Because when you don't have money, you worry about making money and surviving. But when you finally build wealth, you then worry about making it last. So there's always something to worry about. Now, one thing I still think about sometimes is the what ifs. What if my friend never answered the phone? What if he didn't know someone willing to help me? What if I really had to sleep in the car? How long would that have lasted? And those thoughts still hit me sometimes because when I look back now, I realize how differently my life could have turned out. And that's probably why I take life so seriously now. Because I know what it feels like when things go bad. And I also know what it feels like to slowly build your life. And that's really one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, aside from some of you requesting it, is because some people might feel stuck right now. You might feel embarrassed about where you are in life. You might feel like everybody else figured life out except you. I've felt that too. But I can also tell you this, your life can change, but nobody is going to change. Nobody's going to care more about your future than you. And at some point, you have to start making plans for your life. You have to start thinking ahead. You have to start making decisions that help your future self, not just making today feel better. And yeah, life is unfair sometimes. I know that personally. But I also know that life can slowly get better too. Not overnight, slowly, one good decision at a time, one goal at a time, one plan at a time. And if you would have told that scared guy sitting in that motel room that one day he would retire early at 51, he would have probably laughed at you. Because back then, he was just trying to make it through one more day. But sometimes the lowest point in your life ends up changing the direction of your entire future. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.